Every year in Northeast Asia in the springtime, yellow dust comes from the Mongolian deserts. This on its own is a natural phenomenon, but what makes it problematic is that as it passes through China, through China's industrial corridor, it picks up particulates, pollution essentially. And as the trade wind continues to blow east, it deposits this in Beijing, Seoul, Tokyo, as far as the west coast of the United States. In fact, it deposits an additional 1 day of pollution in the United States. This is all the way from Mongolia. Why is this an issue? Well, it's a natural phenomenon, as I said, but the industrial pollutants that are attached to it are man-made. This is what we call a commons problem in political science, meaning that we have a shared problem that requires a shared solution. In Northeast Asia, ecological interdependence is something that is hard to come by. There are political rifts among the three Northeast Asian countries of interest, China, Japan, and South Korea. The rifts did not contribute to the problem. The rifts prevent the problem from being solved in an effective manner. Every year, the environmental ministers from South Korea, China, and Japan meet, and they discuss the shared environmental problems of these three countries, which is actually an important event. In my experience and based on my knowledge, not much has happened, especially to address the yellow dust problem. There are some efforts to take on this problem, planting trees, for example, but these have largely been ineffective. One particular aspect of the dust is of significance. The fact that the dust, when it is smaller than 2.5 microns in size, it can, through inhalation, enter directly into the bloodstream, meaning that we are internalizing, not coughing up, this pollution that is being picked up along the way from China. Every year in the springtime, residents of large cities in Northeast Asia can be seen wearing the doctor's masks or anything that can keep the yellow dust from entering their lungs. The subject is covered extensively in the South Korean media. It's something that everyone is well aware of. One of the reasons that I suspect this problem is not getting as much attention is because it is periodic. It's salient in the public's mind and then disappears until next year or maybe the fall. The solution to make the issue more salient is to devote, of course, more research funding to this problem. What's remarkable about what I've discovered in terms of this research and science focus on the yellow dust problem is that the research was being done before it became funded by these three governments. In essence, long before the states themselves devoted funds to study this problem, the researchers were tackling this PM 2.5 problem with a specific Northeast Asian focus. More importantly, they were studying this topic, but they were studying it with each other. And this is actually a phenomenal aspect of the entire prospect of science and research on this topic of PM 2.5, the yellow dust problem. Why is this such a phenomenon? Well, as I said before, ecological interdependence does not come naturally to the region. There are historical animosities, there are ongoing tensions, regional disputes. Yet, as a result of this shared focus, the scientists and researchers from these countries are getting together and on their own reaching out, whether it's through conferences or networks, but they are reaching out to each other and collaborating and generating real science about this problem. Does that mean that this is the only solution? Of course not, but it's an aspect that is largely overlooked by political scientists like me as we focus on what's happening at the state level. The importance of addressing the yellow dust problem in Northeast Asia is that it can actually create a model that we can use when we're addressing other kinds of environmental commons problems. Anything, whether it goes from shared water or any sort of shared resource. And specifically, I'm talking about climate change, global warming. Certainly, these kinds of models can serve as a function of creating other forms of trilateral cooperation in Northeast Asia. How that occurs will be on a case-by-case basis, but breaking through the historical animosities or ongoing tensions to deal with the environment may be the linchpin that breaks before we address anything of a different policy issue area. State-led developments to address environmental problems are important. They must happen. Through scientists and researchers collaborating, we can tackle the fundamental problems to these very complex environmental issues. This is being seen in Northeast Asia with regard to the yellow dust problem. It will be continued if this model is transferred to a larger sphere, like the United Nations to deal with climate change, or to any other region that's dealing with the commons problem.